Recording for this meeting has begun.
Okay, Tomaž, I just made you a participant, a presenter, sorry, so you should be able now to... Okay, we can already see, but I cannot hear you.
Hello everybody.
Yeah, hi Tomaž, now we can hear you.
It's okay?
Yeah, everything is fine, so you can start, the floor is yours.
Okay, hello everybody. Hello from Ljubljana, from Slovenia. Allow me to introduce the process of Inspire implementation in Republic of Slovenia in next few minutes. I would like to share with you some information about elements of spatial data infrastructure in our country, about the process of transposition, and in the second part also about some examples from Slovenia and also some future activities regarding with Inspire obligation implementation process. About transposition, we were transposed the entire directive with one law. A law is called Slovenian Infrastructure for Spatial Information Act, and it was accepted from the National Assembly in 2010. So with this process, the transposition was finished, and European Commission started the EU pilot in 2013 when they were found some small procedures which must be correct in the law. So with the small changes of several articles, the process of transposition was closed in 2015, in October 2015, when amendment of our existing legal act was accepted. Of course, we must take in mind also some legal acts which are related or connected with Inspire implementation and national spatial data infrastructure process in our country. The legal acts are listed below, and I would not repeat all of them. They are mostly related with electronic commerce, with access to the information of public sector data, and some other legal obligations. I must say that before Inspire was transposed in our national legislation, there was no formally organized spatial data infrastructure in Slovenia, so we take this opportunity to establish also the Slovenian infrastructure for spatial information at the same time as we transpose the directive into national law. About the stakeholders, I believe that this is the similar situation in many countries. Here is a list of key data providers in our country. Mostly spatial data is provided by Ministry of Environment and Spatial Planning, where Surveying and Mapping Authority and Environmental Agency of the Republic of Slovenia are two of biggest data provider and also data user in spatial data domain. But there are also some other ministries which are involved in national spatial data infrastructure, and also which are data provider of data teams according to Inspire legislation. In the list are not present local municipalities. I must say that we try to implement obligation for the local municipality through the national level, because data which are in accordance with data teams and which are provided by local municipalities, this is spatial planning data and data about utility, are already collected on the consolidated level on some national database, and the Ministry of Environment and Spatial Planning and the Surveying and Mapping Authority. So we try to establish the services based on this consolidated level or generalized level of data set. About the coordination, in the law which will bring this directive in our national legal framework, is written that Slovenian Mapping Authority of the Republic of Slovenia play the role of national contact point. We are also a member of Inspire Committee and MIG groups, of course, but in the national level we establish so-called intersectorial coordination group, or some kind of Inspire coordination group, which is representatives came from all data providers, and they are coming together several times a year and discuss about the practical obligations and coordination activities of those directive and activities related with this directive. In last period of time, it was established several working groups. One working group is dealing with metadata and data, and second one is try to start activities related with geospatial information standardization process, because we would like to link our activities with activities on the national standardization body and some other program and processes within the governmental bodies. The task of the national contact point is more or less the same as it is listed in the directive. So we are responsible for a list of spatial data sets about detailed descriptions, and establishing and managing the geoportal and metadata system, and of course try to provide the activities related with interoperability of spatial data sets and services, and preparing some operational programs and other activities related with awareness raising and capacity building. From those reasons, in previous several years, we produce a lot of documents on the level of guidelines or recommendation or position papers, etc., which usually bring in Slovenian language elements of Inspire closer to our users or to our participants. Here are some of examples of those documents. We also translate quite a lot of technical guidelines. Here is listed some of them. I must say that this was quite a comprehensive business, because some of specific words even not exist in Slovenian language, which we must translate it in from English language, because this vocabulary is non-stop growing and under development. We also produce some strategical documents. One is strategical goals about information infrastructure for spatial information in our country, and related with this, there is also some action plan and capacity building program. Here is example about curriculum and training program, which was prepared for all topics related with Inspire obligations. Last year we succeeded to organize also the Slovenian Inspire Day. It was quite well attended. 75 participants from, we have also invited papers from 5 different countries, and we could conclude that this was very positive accepted from our user community, and they stress expectations that this will be continue in next years also. A national contact point was established, the Slovenian Geoportal, or so several years ago, from 2010. It is running and managing by Slovenian Mapping Authority. The Geoportal is a link of common entry point for many of activities related with national spatial data infrastructure, and there is available also the metadata system. As I said, we establish our glossary where we try to link together a lot of new definitions and new words from Inspire registry and Inspire dictionary with our Slovenian language definitions and terms. National Contact Point and Slovenian Mapping Authority also regularly reported and fill in the monitoring tables regarding the European Commission decision about the monitoring and reporting. And just now we publish the latest 3-year period national report for Slovenia and also the monitoring tables. Just a few words about data sets and priority related with these data sets. We could say that all of those previous years spatial data sets are already available in digital form. The biggest concern which is related with Inspire implementation, of course, is the harmonization of those data sets, which is done or which is ongoing just now. And generally we could speak that users of National Spatial Data Infrastructure in Slovenia are quite satisfied with the existing situation because we don't have so many requests for more harmonized or better harmonized data regarding the Inspire obligation. Similar as it was presented in the previous presentation from Croatia, there are also quite a lot of view services and portals available in Slovenia. There is some example from Environmental Geoportal, which is one of the biggest geoportal with a lot of data sets, spatial data sets, and also services related with these spatial data sets. Not only from environment, also from nature protection and other domain. And we could see that the frequency of the usage of those data is raising up very fast. Second geoportal is real estate geoportal, a portal which is provided by the Slovenian Mapping Authority. We also have a lot of users. It's raised up from year to year, and there is also quite positive response from the user community, especially when some biggest projects start in the country. Then the number of visitors is extremely high. The similar also is activities related with merging the statistical data and the geospatial informations. Here is the example of Statistical Office Geoportal, where georeferenced statistical data are available for our users, and they use directly spatial data sets for these purposes provided by other data producers, the Slovenian Mapping Authority and the Environmental Agency, etc. So I must mention also some private initiatives. Here is one example from Geoportal, which is called Geopedia, where official data and authoritative data are successfully merged with crowdsourced and voluntary gathering informations. And we have several successful projects in the past when the community, the users, the citizens use this data, for example, for organizing the activities about the illegal waste identification, etc. So they are quite, let's say, quite big users of geospatial information and services related with this information. For this purposes, we must establish the so-called parallel infrastructure, not parallel, but information infrastructure. In Slovenia, it is established high-speed network between all public authorities, and we use this the same network, and in the last 2 years it is established also the cloud platform where all those state-owned services and infrastructure will be available for users. The manager of those information infrastructure and cloud platform is ministry responsible for public administration. I was mentioned that metadata system already exists from 2010 in our web portal, but last year we upgrade the software which dealing with metadata. Now we use GeoNetwork version 3.0.2, and for those reasons the outlook was a little bit changed, but the content of metadata system stay more or less the same. I must say that we are harvesting successfully metadata descriptions from geological survey, from environmental agency, but the other data providers fill in the metadata descriptions directly into our metadata system. All those elements are following the network infrastructure, and I must say that in last 2 years the biggest effort is putting on establishing network services, Inspire compliant network services, because as I said, in data set level we have identify more or less all data sets in accordance with data teams which already exist in Slovenian territory in digital form, and we have only 2 examples where a data set was newly collected or reconstructed in biggest volume. Here is some example of network services which was developed within last year for data sets from Slovenkian Mapping Authority, which is managing from Slovenkian Mapping Authority of the Republic of Slovenia. I must say that one or more data set where network services were developed for this for particular data set, and they are all available through national geo portal. But in practice, this usage is maybe still not in widest term used, because we must introduce this network services to our user community, because in the past they were used a lot of web services which was not Inspire compliant, but from those reasons many stakeholders, many data users and service users did not change their processes or channels to use this type of services. Many of those network services were developed also because of participation in some international project. One of those example is European Location Framework project. Within this project we were established network services, and not only Inspire compliant network services, but also some so-called ELF network services, which was slightly different and fulfill some special requirements from this ELF project. Here is also example about one view service or Inspire service viewer, which was also developed in last year, and where we would like to try merge together all existing view services with the existing portlays, and try to show to users what kind of results they could get if they combine this type of network services. In the past, as I said, it was quite a lot of web services available in Slovenia, which was not prepared in accordance with Inspire request, but they were exist as WFS and WMS services. One of the biggest portal where those services are available is within the Agency of Environmental Protection, but also within the Slovakian Mapping Authority. Mainly these services were used in public sector because of pricing policy. Until this year we have a pricing policy that private service sector for the commercial purposes must pay some kind of fee. But in the future this will be changed because the Public Sector Information Act with the latest development bring the obligation that all data set produced by public authority must be free of charge for any purposes. So we expect that this usage of those network services in the private sector will grow up. Some examples which I would like to mention from the previous years is related with so-called new water network database, newly established topographic database, and some activities within ELF project where a cloud platform for pan-European service was developed, and newly information and communication technology for land cadastre system, which will be established in the near future, because we start just this year, we start project so-called eSpatial. In the 2 years ago, the Ministry of Environment and Spatial Planning established a pilot project together with European Environmental Agency and some other member states when solutions based on Inspire services and Inspire data specification were provided on the pilot level for urban wastewater treatment directive fulfillment of requests for this from this directive. And now it's prepared comprehensive tender documentation, but we don't have information when the next phase will be or would be realized. Second example is from hydrographic network database. In last 2 years, a big project was started by Ministry of Environment and Spatial Planning when they renew the entire hydrographic network from the original sources, from stereo power of aerial photography was used, and all database was established in accordance with Inspire data specification. So the third example is so-called project co-financed by European Economic Area and Norwegian Financial Mechanism. The project was called Modernization of Spatial Data Infrastructure to Reduce the Risk and Impact of Floods. And within this project, there were 2 sub-projects directly related with Inspire. One was topographical data sets, which were completely model for transformation from existing data into topographical data into Inspire data model was developed. And second, a lot of coordination activities and capacity building activities about Inspire obligation was also run within this project in last 2.5 years. So the last example is participation of Slovakian Mapping Authority in European Location Framework program, which was very good example and learning process of how the existing network services will be launched in so-called cloud computing platform, and some pan-European services were developed about this platform. Slovenian Mapping Authority participated in 6 work packages, and we must say that this was, as I said, very good learning process for all of our colleagues who were involved in this project. Within this health project, there was also a list of network services developed. I already mentioned before that this request from health project was slightly different than Inspire, but mainly they are based on Inspire specification and harmonization request. As I announced, in future we would like to spread Inspire harmonization process also on the area of spatial planning process, and merging the data set, different data set for the purpose of building permits issues and spatial planning and monitoring of the territory. And from those reasons, we just recently started the project eSpatial, which will be supported by European Cohesion Fund in next 4 to 5 years. And within this process, we will be try to realize many of harmonization efforts based on real estate data about spatial planning, and some public law restriction data sets, and some other data sets and services related with this data set. Here is just a simplification picture about the data sets which will be used in this process and which will be part of harmonization efforts in accordance with Inspire data specification and Inspire obligations. Sorry. With this, I would like to conclude this brief presentation about the activities which we are running on related with Inspire implementation. I could say that we have a relatively strong legal framework established, and also organizational mechanisms are in place. But we must work hard on interoperability of spatial data, connection with the so-called e-governmental program and open data program within the country. And of course, we would like to bring this, let's say, Inspire philosophy in all ongoing projects which are related with spatial data services and data sets. We strongly believe that future is geo-enabled, and from those reasons, I always stress out that need for capacity building and awareness raising is strongly present all the time. So this is all from Slovenia, and here I borrow some picture from Ula Kronborg-Mazzoli when we are fully embarrassed with Inspire. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you very much, Tomaž. I think it was really interesting, and I hope now that we will have also some questions. So please raise your hand or use the chat area. Maybe I can start first. So you mentioned in your presentation that you did a lot of translation of technical guidance documents to Slovenian language. So I'm really curious, how did you manage it? Who was actually translating, and how did you fund it? So who paid for it and how?
Yes, well, we found it by partly by state budget and partly by this project which I mentioned. The project was called Modernization of Infrastructure for Preventing the Floods in Slovenia, and it was financially supported by European Economic Area and Norwegian Financial Mechanism. And within this project we have this sub-project related with strategical documents and some other technical documents. The process was complicated not because of the volume of text, but because of the content. And usually it was done that we tender out the translation to some so-called private company, consulting company, but at the end we must go very slowly through those documents, and I could say that we were never satisfied with final results. We corrected and repairing this vocabulary, but as I mentioned, this was relatively new vocabulary also in Slovenia, within the Slovenian language. And when we try to use some existing thesaurus or gazetteers, we found out that also our national definitions are not harmonized. How could we then translate in appropriate way also these new terms coming from so-called web network services and philosophy and other specific terms. And in practice, very often the user must compare the text in Slovenian language, which is maybe for better understanding, and original English document at the end, because we saw that it's sometimes for programmers or for guys who are dealing with IT, it's easier to use the original English texts.
Yeah, I can imagine that it was a very difficult work. Do you have, Tomaž, any feedback from the people who were using it? Was it useful for them, or any feedback from their side?
General feedback is that is very positive, accepted when we introduce that topic, because many of data providers were not aware long time, after the law was already put in place. They were not aware about their concrete obligations in accordance with this law. And from those reasons, they use and we use these documents in Slovenian language to introduce the complexity and content of obligations. But at the final stage, when they start to implement the different services or different applications, then the feedback is that they, as I said, they must use also the original language, the English language version, to clearly implement the details.
Yeah. Okay. Do we have any other questions? I don't see raising hands. Anyone for the question, or it seems it was perfectly clear.
Everything clear or nothing, so both possibilities exist. I hope
Usually,
the first one.
like that. Okay, we have one. I know. Just thanks from Albania. Thank you for your participation. Any other questions, comments? It seems not. I would like to stress that for the next webinar slot, we still have free places, which means if there are any volunteers for the next month, it would be nice maybe, or if you can think about it, so that we can maybe agree tomorrow on our MIG-T meeting for the next webinars. So please think, and if there will be any proposals for the next presentations, let us know maybe tomorrow on the MIG-T meeting. Okay, So I don't see any other comments, questions. Then I think we can close our webinar session for today. Thanks, first of all, to Tomislav and Tomaž for the presentations, and also thanks to all participants who were today with us. Thank you, and have a nice rest of the day. Ciao.
Thank you, Lara. Goodbye.
Bye-bye.